I want to take you out to this wild video that we had from last night. This chaos erupting there in New York City during a PlayStation giveaway by the Twitch streamer Kai Cenat. He's now facing charges after that chaos erupted over there in Union Square in the New York City area. Now I want to bring in criminal investigations expert Joseph Giacalone, a friend of the show who always joins us to break down all these complicated issues, these kind of strange things that pop up. This one obviously creating a bit more chaos than you may have imagined for folks going to get a PlayStation. Good morning, Joseph. Thanks for taking the time to join the show.
Thanks for having me, Giacomo.
So, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, this was absolutely crazy what just transpired yesterday. And goes to show you how vulnerable the city could really be in regards to certain situations, especially if they go unchecked.
Now, tell me, we see this this video just really kind of unfolding there last night. We understand that this was, again, a popular Twitch streamer. His name's Kai Cenat. He was giving away a PlayStation or PlayStations. You see in some of the video that he's in a vehicle, actually, and just being surrounded by so many cars. Tell me, what are potential charges, and let's break down some of the charges that he is actually facing for this, which includes 2 counts of inciting a riot, as well as unlawful assembly after a massive crowd of thousands there popped up.
Right. So inciting the riot is actually a pretty heavy charge in this incident. But here's the problem, Giacomo. If they don't get prosecuted, you open the door to more of this stuff. So you have these social media influencers or whatever they're calling themselves, doing these things. And if the consequences aren't harsh, meaning he doesn't get prosecuted or he doesn't go to jail or what have you, you only open the city up to more of this stuff because you're actually making people famous. People who have never heard of this man, like I've never heard of him before, but now all of a sudden he's a household name. And this is the problem that you're dealing with social media. I mean, I know law enforcement, specifically the NYPD, goes through social media and stuff, but you can't, cover all these things. I mean, giving away a couple of PlayStations, you don't think that was going to bring in thousands and thousands of kids. The issue that comes down to is you open yourself up if you don't condemn this. Now, I haven't heard any of our usual politicians in New York City condemn any of this, right? We have a number of virtual signalers out there who want to talk about everything under the sun except for when there's a real problem, like you have this morning. I mean, the radio silence, so to speak, is deafening. Nobody's out there. I haven't even heard the mayor come out and condemn this really yet. So we have some serious leadership problems.
I mean, as you look and see all of this really unfolding there in New York, something that really just, I mean, it looks as if, you have almost angry crowds rather than folks going to get PlayStations. When it comes down to a potential defense for this person, do you think that the influencer could perhaps say, well, I didn't know this many people were going to come out? What would be a potential thing that could maybe protect him in this case, or is the evidence pretty strong?
Well, I'm sure that his defense attorney is going to try to bring all that stuff up, but I guess you'd have to go by the sheer number of people who follow him, right? I mean, if he's somebody like me who doesn't have a lot of followers, then you could say, well, I didn't expect more than a handful of people to show up. But if he has thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of followers, you have to be really mindful of that and understand that they call them influencers for a reason, because they have a huge following. And when you're doing stuff like this, giveaways specifically, right? So people hear something that's for free, they're going to all come. And it's a problem that you're dealing with now on a much bigger level, specifically when you're talking about inside Manhattan, because if you look at now the property damage and the assaults that were going on in Union Square, how many complaint reports, like how many crimes were reported out of this? Are they going to tell us next week that Manhattan's still the biggest safe city in the world? I mean, this is the kind of stuff that makes people like myself crazy, because you watch this city descend into something that we haven't seen in a very long time. And when you're dealing with especially juveniles, you have a lot of things that are going against you. You have raise the age that came out of Albany, that you have to treat everybody under the age of 18 as a juvenile. So that becomes a problem with prosecution. You have a DA in Manhattan who doesn't prosecute many cases. He said it from the very beginning that he wouldn't. Is this a case that he's going to just skip over also? Like I said, you set when you don't condemn it, you condone it, and this is because this could be a real problem for New York City.
I know that New York is often a big gathering place for major events. I'm sure there are many influencers, celebrities that like to go to New York to hold events like that. Have you seen anything like this happen before, especially from that social media influencer kind of side of things?
We saw a couple little flare-ups like this, but this crowd was absolutely huge, and it caught this police department off guard. Also, because generally when you have a celebrity or something that you have to file a permit to have a number of people in a specific location. So the police department are ready for it. A pop up something like this. This is like one of those house parties that go crazy when somebody posts, "Yeah, we're having a house party," and everybody is welcome, and it becomes a huge problem for you. I mean, I think they were up to a level 4 mobilization, which is the highest mobilization that you can get citywide. That means every precinct in New York City was sending cops in a van, at least 10 cops to this riot. I mean, that's how many cops you're dealing with in this situation too now. But remember, it takes a while for them to get there.
Especially through crowds like that in a busy urban area there in New York City. Any questions that you have about really what led up to this? And another question I had was, do you think this may change the way that New York City handles their policing policies? And do you think that they may be able to learn anything from what just happened?
Well, we'll answer the second question because that's the most important one, right? You got to remember that the city gave in to protesters from the George Floyd riots where we had a couple of years ago, and they paid out millions of dollars, and they blamed the police for everything. Then they dropped all the charges against all the protesters, and they continued with civilian complaints against the cops. And then you have active politicians that are trying to get rid of the NYPD's strategic response group, which is the ones that handle this kind of thing. So you've admonished the police department for using tactics like kettling and everything else when you're dealing with crowds and riots. And now you have a situation where the police department is kind of, it's like apathy and ignorance, right? Who knows, who cares kind of thing. They don't know what to do anymore. And this is exactly how some of our politicians in New York City want the NYPD, on their heels and not being able to deal with a situation like this. And it's absolutely sad and it's horrendous, specifically for the residents of New York City.